What's up, guys? Classy Metal here. We made it. It is New Year's Eve 2020. We have almost reached the point where we can put this year in the rear view, put it behind us, and race forward without ever looking back. Before we do that, there are some loose ends that need to be tied up. Mainly for me, this end of the year list. I know that a lot of people have been posting their list, uploading videos, doing their favorite albums of the year and that type of stuff already. I've been watching some of those and following some of those already. And there are some albums and releases that I will share with some of those other lists that I've seen. There's some stuff on my list that I have not seen on some of those lists. So I have to put the disclaimer out there that this is my personal list. It's not yours. So there's going to be some stuff on here that you probably agree with. There's going to be some stuff that you probably disagree with. That's just the way of the world. My list is no better than anybody else's. I just happen to have a camera in front of me and put it out in a more public arena, I guess you could say. So that's what it is. It is what it is. It's just the top 25 releases. I don't split up EPs, demos, that type of stuff. This is just the top 25 releases for me personally, my favorite releases from the year. Everything on my list is going to be something that I own on a physical format. This is a channel that likes to promote physical media, so if it was only released digital, it will not be on my list. I know most notably the newest full-length from Winterlore. Had that been released on a physical format, I definitely would have had it on this end-of-the-year list, but it was only digital, at least for the time being, so it has to be overlooked for this list. There's something that you think I've missed. It could be just to the fact that I don't own it on a physical format yet. I mean, obviously, there's the notion that I could dislike it or not like it as much as you personally did, but there are several different reasons for why something may not be on my list. That being said, I'm just going to jump right into it. Everything that I'm going to show will be linked up in the description. That way, if you see something that you want to check out, something that maybe you slept on or overpassed during the year, the link is down there for you to check this stuff out and find something maybe that you hadn't heard before. Also, I would like for you guys to jump in the comments as well and put your list there. I mean, this is get some conversation going down there. Put some stuff down there that maybe I personally missed during the year. That I would definitely appreciate that. So let's just get right into this. At number 25, we have the debut EP from the death metal outfit out of Staten Island, New York. This is Tombstoner with Descent to Madness. Tombstoner, I say death metal. This is a band that can bring in several different elements of extreme music. They have some hardcore stuff going on. They have brutal death metal, almost like some grindcore going on at times. And they're able to wrap that all up under almost like a old school death metal banner, I guess, in a shell. This was very stellar stuff. I was drawn in by that artwork, and then I was just blown away by the music. For a debut EP, it is very ahead of itself, I guess you could say. It's a very, very mature release for a debut EP, so definitely check out Tombstoner if you have not checked that one out already. At number 24, we have Cauldron Black Ram with their release Slaver. This is probably my favorite release that Cauldron Black Ram has put out, and I know that's a bit of a unpopular opinion. There were several people that are into this band that didn't enjoy this one as some of their previous material. I really dug this. This is black and death metal with pirate themes mixed with the occult. It's very dark. It's not that kind of jolly party type pirate music that is pretty prevalent. This is very dark, hard to digest stuff, very murky stuff, very good stuff, very different, something a little different from Cauldron Black Ram, but I did dig this quite a bit. Next up, we have some black and death metal out of Sweden. With the band being from Gothenburg, there's definitely that melodic death metal sound going on in this. It's quite prevalent, but this is their debut full length. This is Night Crown with Impious Vium, I believe is how you pronounce that. I originally became accustomed to Night Crown from their 2018 EP that was released through Black Line Records. That was my first initial introduction to Night Crown. They released this full length back in February, so this one's been out a while. It's a very has a very grandiose feel going on that album. It's melodic black and death metal, but it's just over the top. The production value on that is so great. It really does a strong service to that album, and I did dig that quite a bit. Next up, we have some LA filthy death metal. This is Dragakar with At the Crossroads of Infinity. I'm sorry I butchered that. This was a dual release between Unspeakable Acts and Dark Descent, two labels that you're going to find on this list quite often this year. Dark Descent and Unspeakable Acts have been hitting, along with 20 Buck Spin. Those three labels have just been hitting on all cylinders for me this year, and this album was a very nice surprise. Their previous EP was very good as well, but this one, I really dug this one quite a bit. It's kind of crusty death metal, very busy sounding. I know that could almost sound off-putting, but they're able to wrap all that stuff up together and put it out in a way that it's very pleasing, and it's just crusty, filthy, busy death metal, and I love it. Next up, at number 21, we have Aeolian with Negationist. This was released back in November on Blackline Records. This is a band out of Spain, and this is melodic death metal. I was very much looking forward to this release when it came out. Oliver over at Blackline Records was hyping this one up quite a bit, and the artwork on that kind of drew me in and had me wanting to hear more. What I'd heard on my previews and stuff for this, I did enjoy quite a bit, and then I was actually in the YouTube chat, and when they did the album premiere through YouTube, I was there to listen to the album in its entirety just because I was excited. There were 3 tracks on this: Golden Cage, Bleeding Garbage, and The Flood. I think it's track 6 through 8. For me, that's just like the sweet spot of the album. I do enjoy the album in its entirety, but those 3 tracks are definitely what cemented its spot on this end of the year list. Next up, we have a band that's been around for a while. It is they're almost like legends in the gothic doom, death doom genres now. We have Draconian with their newest release, Under a Godless Veil. Went blank on that for a second. Under a Godless Veil came out in October. I ordered this. With the way that the mail has been, it took forever to get here. I have not been able to spend as much time with the physical release on this as I would have liked. This one is very hard to hear unless you actually own a copy. It's hard to hear the album in its entirety. I don't do streaming and that type stuff, so it could possibly be on something like Spotify, that type stuff. I didn't want to buy a digital copy on Bandcamp when I just ordered the physical, so I just waited for the CD to get here, got the CD in, and I am blown away. There's a bit more clean vocals and that type stuff. It's a bit more melodic than what I'm accustomed to with Draconian, but I do feel like it is the strongest release they've released in the last few albums, particularly within the last 3. That one has to be right up there. Are we ever going to get another Arcane Rain Fell or that type of stuff? I doubt it, but at this point, you kind of know what you're getting from Draconian, and that one is no different. And they're just in that stride now where you know what you're going to get, and they continually deliver. Under a Godless Veil definitely delivered. At number 19, we have some U.S. black metal. This one was an absolute surprise to me. I won a contest for the CD, and I'm so glad that I did, because I probably would not have checked this one out. It probably would have slipped off my radar. We have Devonator with the Malleus Philosophorum. As I said, this is U.S. black metal that sounds like it easily could have come from somewhere over in Europe. I was blown away when I tried to kind of research the band a little bit. They do have a previous album out that I do not own. I need to check that one out. But just the riffs going on that album are amazing. And it's very mature, very almost European sounding black metal that's from here in the U.S. I'm proud to call this one U.S. black metal because it is that good. I know U.S. black metal kind of gets a bad reputation sometimes, and this could help shed that reputation if it were able to be heard. I know a lot of people probably have not heard that one. There's a bit of anonymity with the band members and that type of stuff. I really don't know where they're from other than it just being U.S. black metal. So moving on, at number, let's see, where are we at? At number 18, we have My Dying Bride with the Ghost of Orion. They released an EP this year as well. I could have put either one. I mean, had I not put the full length on here, the EP Macabre Cabaret would have definitely been on here. So, but Ghost of Orion was a phenomenal album. At this point, My Dying Bride, they do nothing wrong. I mean, in my eyes, they had the one little hiccup there with the Eventa, I believe was the name of that album, and that was been years and years ago. At this point, I just don't see them doing anything that I don't like. Even that album I did enjoy, but this was phenomenal. Probably any other year this would have been farther up on the list than what it made it on this one, but Ghost of Orion was fantastic stuff. Next up at number, let's see, where we at, 17, we have Faceless Burial with Speciation. I talked about this one pretty recently in a 7 Deadly Spins video, and this is just old school death metal goodness. I mean, that kind of revival going on with Tomb Mode, Blood Incantation. There's several bands that are kind of torch bearing that death metal revival. Faceless Burial is right there. They should be more well known than what they are. Speciation is a phenomenal release. Amazing stuff out of Australia. I think they get overshadowed by Blood Incantation just because, for some reason, Blood Incantation, it's not unwarranted the amount of attention that they're getting. They are a phenomenal band, but there's other bands that are doing the same or similar stuff just as well, if not better. And Faceless Burial is one of those bands. Definitely check them out if you're into that style of death metal. Next up, at number 16, we have some melodic black metal out of Sweden. This is Cavian with the Funeral Pyre. I probably butchered the name of the band. I apologize for that, but that's just how I've personally been pronouncing it, so that's what we're going to roll with. This is, as I said, melodic black metal. It has little hints of speed metal going on in this as well. I know that doesn't do it a lot of justice as far as describing it, but the riffs on this are absolutely phenomenal. For this to be a debut full-length, it is absolutely stellar. I know this one has ended up a lot higher on some other people's lists, and I get that as well because it is that good of a list. I mean, that good of a listen. Black Line Records, that's another label that has put out some pretty stellar material this year. Next up, changing gears a little bit, we have number 15, Acerus with the Tertiary Rite. This is traditional heavy metal that kind of dabbles into progressive elements at times without going over the top. I can definitely appreciate the fact that they don't just go too progressive in their delivery of this release. They have little hints of power metal and thrash metal going on as well. Fantastic stuff here. A little different than a lot of what I listen to, but sometimes you have to step away from the extreme, and this is a perfect album in doing that. So I'm sorry, my voice is starting to go, and we're not even halfway through yet, so we're going to try to power through. Next up, at number 14, this is a band out of the UK. The UK is known and has been known for as a lifetime now for putting out just stellar death metal, doom metal, and this is another one of those kind of epic doom and gloom type releases that fits so well within the area that it was released from. This is Gotham with Reflections. That album art is very dark. I apologize for that. I was first introduced to Gotham from their 2018 release, a grand reclamation EP that was released on Transcending Records. I dug that one quite a bit, and I was looking forward to hearing more from Gotham, and their full length came out this year, and I was absolutely floored. With them being a fairly new project, don't think that the members are new at producing, producing fantastic death metal, doom metal, that type stuff. At least a couple of the musicians in this project are very well versed. You've got some My Dying Bride, some Solstice stuff in the past going on there. Phenomenal stuff there. So definitely check out Gotham if you have not done so. At number 13, we have Cemetery Filth with Dominion. This is filthy death metal out of Atlanta. It's just filthy. The production value on this, that is one testament to this release that I can speak on, that personally I enjoy a lot. The way that they're able to work this production and make it have this kind of crusty, filthy sound going on without taking away from the actual musicianship, if that makes any sense whatsoever. This is another release that was released through Unspeakable Acts and Dark Descent. This is one that has been in rotation for me for a majority of the year. I think this came out back in April, and I've been listening to it quite a bit. Sorry, my camera went blank there for just a second. Been listening to this quite a bit throughout the year, and I don't see it slowing down in rotation anytime soon. Just kind of crusty, punky, murky death metal going on there, and it's very fantastically produced. At number 12, we have some Funeral Doom out of Canada. I'm going to butcher this. This is Atrumentous with Stygian, I believe is how you pronounce that. Another release off a $20 spin. This is a little bit different than what I expect from $20 spin. This is a release that I think a lot of people probably have way higher up on their list, and I could easily see that. This, for me, it hit at a point. I did this in a 7 Deadly Spins video where I had several Funeral Doom and very melancholy albums all going at once. It became a very difficult task for me to do that one video, just because it put me in such a mindset, like it put me kind of in a low place sometimes, just with having, when music can influence your mood that much, there has to be something right about it. And this is definitely a release that can do that. There's 3 parts to this release, and they make this one big story that goes on for about 40 minutes. Very good stuff. Very well performed stuff. And they're able to mix other styles of music in flawlessly with their Funeral Doom elements going on. You've got some atmospheric black going on, especially in the final moments of that album, that are just over the top and fantastically done. So very good release there from Atrumentous. Next up, we have some black metal out of New Jersey. This is Mortum with Atlantean Ouroboros, I believe is how you pronounce that. This is a perfect soundtrack to the apocalypse. I mean, for this to come out in 2020, absolutely perfect. It's just about a volcanic end of the world. The world smothered in ash, floods, just apocalyptic destruction going on, and very good stuff here from Mortum. I don't know what else I could say about this, except it was, I think, kind of overlooked. It did come out in August, and there were a lot of other pretty strong releases released right about that same time. That was an independent release, so I don't think it got the attention that it probably warrants. I think a lot of people probably missed out on that. That artwork is kind of what you're getting into. I mean, that artwork fits the music perfectly. There's not a lot of albums that I can really say that for, but the artwork and that was a stellar job of them picking that artwork for that release, because they go hand in hand perfectly. At number 10, we have Twofaced Center with Spiritual Nemesis. This is brutal black and death metal. This came out back in April. It's been it's been in steady rotation for me since April. I'm sorry, my throat is crazy today. This is their 3rd full length, but this was actually my introduction to this band. I've recently been kind of backtracking and trying to find their old material. It is a bit hard to track down, and once I do find it, it's very expensive because they're not from here in the U.S. This was released on non-Serbium records. They're not from here in the U.S., so just the shipping alone is ridiculous. But when you have something that's a bit obscure like that, hunting it down, I mean, that's all part of the fun of collecting as well, though. Next up, we have some hot, humid black metal out of the state of Kentucky. This is Fornicas with Sulfuric Omnipotence. I've been a fan of Fornicas since 2014 Storming Heaven came out. And I'm glad that this band is actually starting to gain some attention, gain some attraction. I've seen it in some pretty, I wouldn't say mainstream, but widespread, almost stuff that you're not used to seeing this type of metal being in or being showcased in. And for me, I like seeing that because this is a band that I've been an advocate for so long. This is just hot, humid, suffocating black metal, and it's got some riffs on it that will absolutely blow your mind. So definitely check out Fornicas if you have not done so. At number 8, we have a band out of Austin, Texas. And this is a band, my thoughts on this band are pretty simple. It's just that they are able to do a lot with a little, if that if that makes any sense. Even the artwork, it's very minimalistic. The music in this is very, you have basic elements of death metal going on, basic elements of hardcore at times, hints of black metal going on, but it's very stripped down basic stuff. But the song structures and the delivery of the music on this is brilliant. They are able, like I said, they're able to do so much with what feels like so little. Just strip down basic, so many bands focus on going over the top, making stuff as complex and difficult as possible. That's not the case. They strip it down, use simple, what seems like it should be simple versions of staple music genres, and are able to structure it to a point that's just brilliant. I did that no justice whatsoever. Check out Skeleton with their self-titled Skeleton. This is number 8. Fantastic album. I'm sorry I did not give that one the justice that it deserves with my poor wordmanship. At number 7, we have Noctu with Galede Mortis Imago. I probably butchered that, and I apologize for that. This is Funeral Doom that has hints of Black Doom going on in this. This is a terrifying release. It's haunting, melancholy, and just scary at times. It has a funeral flower smell. I know you can't smell it, but there you go. Infused into the digipack, which is something that was very unique and something just extra. I like the little extra stuff like that. But musically, this is a haunting, terrifying Funeral Doom release. This is actually not the first time that Noctu has released something like this. They have several albums already under their belt. This is probably my favorite that they've released in their discography, but it definitely made me want to backtrack and check out some of their older material. Just terrifying, haunting, blackened Funeral Doom metal. Next up is a band that is no stranger to my end of the year list. This is number 6. This is Guerra with their newest release, Limbo. They were pretty high up on my 2018 release, end of the year releases with the release Unsettling Whispers. They didn't change the formula just too terribly much with this Limbo release. It is well-performed black metal. They're doing it on a grander stage now. They were signed by Season of Mist. A lot of people are starting to take notice of this band. And this, I could see them being the next big thing. I mean, they're that good at what they do. They incorporated a more accessible sound into Limbo that was not in Unsettling Whispers. And it's catapulted them. And I could see the sky's the limit pretty much for Guerra. So very good stuff there. Next up at number 5, we have a band out of San Francisco. This is a band that I was drawn in by the artwork. I've said that a few times already. I found this one on Bandcamp, kind of just perusing through and finding new music. And I saw the artwork, checked it out. It did not sound anything like I was expecting it to. It actually sounded better. And I can't put my finger on what I love about this album so much. I don't know what it is about it, but it just tickles me in all the right places. This is Night with Darkness, Silence, Mirror, Flame. This is traditional heavy metal. It sounds like traditional 80s heavy metal musicianship with a black metal vocalist and like almost black and roll vibes going on at times. Black and roll is not a good description of this whatsoever, but I don't have a basis of something that I can liken this to without just throwing that black and roll moniker out there. It's not black and roll to me. It's just, it has this flawless traditional heavy metal musicianship with a blackened overtone going on. The vocals are definitely blackened. I don't know. I can't speak the praises of this one enough. It will definitely have your head rocking. It is Riff City, and it is very, very good. So definitely check out Night if you have not done so. At number 4, we have an album that any other year could have easily been in the top 1 or 2 releases. This is Fires in the Distance with their debut, Echoes from Deep November. Went blank there for a second. This is another one that the artwork initially made me want to hear this. I mean, look at that artwork. It is melodic death doom metal out of Connecticut. Fantastic release. It has some keyboards and synth going on throughout this. They do not take away. Sometimes, especially the synths, can kind of take away, make stuff sound a little watered down from the music. It adds another element of depth into this, another dynamic to this music, and it works perfectly well. The structure on this album is set up just the way that they assembled all the songs in the order that they even assembled them in works perfectly. It's a perfect flow, and I dig that album quite a bit. At number 3, we have an album that I was very excited when Marty from Beinrune said that he was going to be releasing this. It is a band that I've liked for many, many years. I love this is actually going to be on a vinyl, on a record. I'm going to actually show a record jacket as opposed to CD. I was very much looking forward to this one coming out. It sounds quite a bit different than their previous material. And that being said, a band, when you're excited about something from a band coming and their sound changes a little bit, that could go either way. And this actually, for me, it felt like a vast improvement. The vocal quality on this, much improved. This is Canis Dearest with Independence to the Beast. Man. Wow. I don't know what wow. When listening to this, and I was taken aback, and I was blown away. It is it was, I guess, 8 years between the albums from Canis Dearest. My favorite release leading up to Independence to the Beast was A Somber Wind from Distant Shore, and that came out all the way back, I think, in 2009. So this definitely is my favorite thing that this project has ever done. The song Father has this almost like acoustic guitar intro, and you're just like, where did this come from? And then like it's mesmerizing. There is so much complexity and depth to this album that I've found something new every time that I've listened to it, and I've listened to it a lot. They incorporate the folky stuff a bit more into this than their previous material. The folky stuff was there all along, but it's more celebrated on this release without being over the top. It's just maniacal maniacal black metal with the folky undertones, and they throw these little things at you that you just don't expect. It's like little surprises and Easter eggs throughout the entire album, and I'm a huge advocate for this newest release from Canis Dearest. I don't think enough people have heard this, and if you have heard it and you're not singing its praises, there's something inherently wrong with you. So it is that good. Check that one out. At number 2, this is another album I was not expecting to enjoy as much as I did. I thought I knew what I was getting into upon my first listen, and I was a bit surprised and pleasantly surprised with this. This is Wayfarer with A Romance of Violence. Their 2018 release, World's Blood, was fantastic. It was on my end of the year list that year. And they changed gears a little bit on this one. I thought it was just going to be World's Blood Part 2, and it was not. This was something that they took some of the ideas that they presented on that album and just ran with them on this. I think at this point in time, Wayfarer and Panopticon are like two of the front runners of U.S. Americana mixed kind of folky black metal. They do this so well. I was amazed with how much I enjoyed this album. The kind of vaudevillian vibes going on through some of this, or just you just don't expect it, and it's something fresh. It's like a fresh breath of air. Fantastic release from Wayfarer. You don't expect Wild West black metal out of Denver, of all places, but it works, and it's amazing. So definitely check that one out. I think I've said that. Definitely check this out. 24, going to be 25 times now. My album of the year. It is that time. This is one that I missed upon its initial release. I was able to snag a repress copy of this, and I'm very glad that I did. I had heard no hype, no build-up, no nothing of this until I just found it. I think it was like black metal promotion here on YouTube, or it's one of the YouTube channels that promotes albums and EPs and that type of stuff, and they post the full links, and I heard it, and I was just like, I was listening to a different album, and then I had the autoplay on, so it automatically switched over to playing this, and I was like, what in the world am I listening to? And I went, and I was just mesmerized for the whole time that it played through, and I immediately had to search out myself a copy. I thought maybe as time went on a little bit, it would kind of I would kind of lose interest in that type of stuff. I never did. This has been a release that I've absolutely loved since the first time that I listened to it. This is Phaedra with 6 Voices Inside. This is another project out of Sweden. Sweden hitting the album of the year list pretty hard this year. This was released on Northern Silence Productions. This is one-man kind of atmospheric orthodox black metal. It's like Burzum without Varg type stuff. It's a one-man project out of Sweden. The one man has chosen to stay anonymous. He has not, so no one really I mean, I'm sure somebody knows, but as a fan, I don't know who is behind this project. I just know that I love this project. This is fantastic, one-man, atmospheric, orthodox black metal. It sounds like classic, those early like tugs of atmospheric black metal. I keep likening it to Burzum, but the Burzum influence in this musically is there. I mean, it's definitely there, and it's like taking those ideas that groundwork that bands like that have produced, and then adding some originality and newness to it. And it's something that I have not grown tired of listening to yet. I will probably give this a listen to today. It'll be a perfect way of ending this year and moving on to something bigger and better. Fantastic release. If you're into black metal, if you're into orthodox black metal, if you like Burzum, but you don't like the man behind Burzum, I listen to Burzum, to each their own. But I mean, this is something for you. Definitely check this one out. As I said, it's coming 25th time. You will be amazed by this. I have not heard much bad about this release at all. For me, it is the best release that I've heard all year long. That is Phaedra with 6 Voices Inside. So there we have it. That's my 25 favorite releases from this year. There were some things that it pained me to leave off of this this list. That musically, 2020, I can't complain. There were a ton of albums that I really, really dug. My collection grew ridiculously in size this year just from picking up new music. But that's about all that we had. I mean, you sit at home and you something to do. I mean, we've been kind of stuck at home longer than what we had hoped. I've been more sick this year. I've managed to dodge the virus, thankfully, but I've been more sick. I had scarlet fever this year. I mean, who gets scarlet fever in this time? So it's been a really weird year. Musically, it has been a strong year. I'm hoping that as far as concerts and everything goes, we can bounce back in 2021 because I am definitely missing live music. Please get in the comments. Let me know what you feel about my releases. I would like to hear your releases as well. That being said, I may do like a year, like at the beginning of the year, kind of kick off for the channel. I have some ideas going on, some new stuff. I'm going to nix some stuff and then kind of play with the format a little bit just to keep it fresh. But that's all I've got for today. I hope this video found you well. Stay classy, stay metal, and I will see you all in 2021. I promise.